All right, welcome to the 6th grade Module 1 pre-module review. Our objective is that I can identify and order whole numbers on a number line. There's a typo here. This should be, we're just going to say I can, we'll cross out identify. I can order whole numbers on a number line. This is a review just to refresh our memory about how to compare numbers, primarily using place value. So here we have a chart that breaks up each value spot. So we've got our ones, tens, and hundreds. And then we have our 1,000s, 10,000s, 100,000s. And then we have our 1 million, 10 million, and 100 million. We're going to use this chart to help us compare large numbers. We can also use it to help us compare small numbers, but small numbers we don't necessarily need a chart for. So down here you can see we're going to compare 2,438,677 and 2,438,792. So I'm going to take this first number and I'm going to write it in. So I'm going to start on the right side and I'm going to say that's a 7. That goes in the 1 spot. Every time we move over a digit, we're going to move over a place value because this 7 is not in the 1 spot, it's in the tens spot. Then we have a 6 in the 100 spot, 8 in the 1,000 spot, 3 in the 10,000 spot, 4 in the 100,000 spot, and lastly we have a 2 in the 1 millionth place. You might also see commas here. So there's our first number in. I'm going to take our second number. I'm going to skip this line because we're going to use it for something else. And I'm going to go to the bottom here and I'm going to write it in. So I'm going to start on the right. We have a 2 in the 1 spot, a 9 in the 10 spot, a 7 in the 100 spot, comma. We have an 8 in the 1,000s, a 3 in the 10,000s, and a 4 in the 100,000s, comma, and then we have a 2 in the million spot. All right, so each digit has a place value and only one digit per place value. So you're never going to see like a 13 or a 23 in a single box here. One digit per place value. All right, when we are comparing numbers, we want to start on the left. We want to start on the side with the biggest number. In this case, we're millions, so we're going to start here, and we're just going to look at these two. And they're both 2, which means they're the same. So at this point, our numbers are the same because we've only looked at the million spot. Let's go to the next one. Let's compare our 100,000 place value. We have a 4 and a 4. Those are the same. So those are equal to each other. That's why I'm writing in this little equal sign. Next, we have our 10,000s. We're going to compare these two. We have 3 and 3. Again, these are equal. They are the same. So far, our numbers are all the same. So we can't decide if one is bigger than the other yet. All right, our 1,000s place, we have an 8 and an 8. Again, those are equal. They're the same number. So we'll keep going. Next, we have the 100 spot. And look at that. We have a 6 and a 7. 6 is less than 7, which means that this bottom number is bigger because of this place value here. We could look at the other ones too. We could say, well, 7 versus 9. 7 is less than 9. And lastly, we could look at the ones place. We could say 7 versus 2. 2 is less than 7. But really, once we get here to the first one where there's a difference between the two numbers, we can decide which one's bigger. So when we compare 2,438,677 and 2,438,792, this one is bigger because of this place value right here. So we're going to have it eat the bigger one. It's my little weird crocodile. So this reads that this number is less than this number. Now, if we have smaller numbers, here we only have, in the hundreds, we have 274 and 221. If we want to compare those, we don't necessarily need a chart. We could just write them out. So 2, 7, 4. And underneath, I'm going to leave a little bit of room in the middle. I'm going to write it down here, 221. And notice that I kind of lined up my place values. Starting on the right, these two are lined up, these two are lined up, and these two are lined up. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be close enough. If we look at our first two numbers on the left here, 2 and 2 are equal to each other, so that doesn't help us in comparing. So let's look at the tens place value. Here we have a 7 and a 2. 7 is bigger, which means that 274 is bigger than 221. So this is our larger number. Cool. All right, let's move on to refresh our memory about number lines. It might be a minute since you've looked at a number line. We're going to ignore this box right here. It's not supposed to be there. But we're going to look at ordering numbers on a number line. Now, on a number line, we're used to, over here, starting at 0. So I'm going to label this. This is 0. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is this big line here. And I'm going to skip count. I don't want to label every one because that takes a while. So we're going to just label the every 5. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And we'll call that good. If you are a person where labeling each one helps you and you just want to go ahead and fit in the other ones, and you want to do that, go ahead and pause the video and do that. I'm not going to, but you are more than welcome to if that helps you. All right, so it's asking us to list the following numbers from greatest to smallest. And then it gives us these numbers. And notice they're not really in order. So I'm going to go ahead and plot them on our number line. So 2, it's going to go 1, 2. Going to put a dot. 2. I'm going to cross it off because we labeled it. Next is 7, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to put a dot, put a 7. Crossed off because we're done with it. 16, 15, 16. I'm going to put a dot. 19, 20, 19. I'm going to go backwards one there. There's 19. And lastly, we have 11. So 10, 11. All right, so we put them on a number line, and now they're in order, but we need to order them from greatest to smallest. We want to start with the biggest. So I'm going to go all the way over here to 19. That's our biggest. I'm going to list that first, 19. And I'm going to work my way backwards to go from biggest to smallest. So we have 19. And then we have 16 comes next, 19, 16, 11, 7, and 2. So, there we go. We listed them from greatest to smallest. Or from greatest to least is another term you might see. Next, we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to list the following numbers from smallest or least to greatest. I am going to change colors. Make this a little bit easier to see. I'll use a black pen for this. So we're going to list the following numbers, and we're going to do that by putting them on the number line. So I'm going to start with 4. So here's 4. And I'm going to put an X instead of a dot so that if we can't see the color difference, because it's not showing up super well, it's a little easier. So 4. We have 1. I'm going to go back over here, put an X and a 1. We have 8. So 7 is here. 8. 18. So here's 19. I'm going to go back one for 18. And 10. All right, so now we've got x's, so we know that this is a different set of numbers. And we're listing these from smallest to greatest, or least to greatest. So I want to start with the smallest number. So I'm going to go all the way over here on the left. 1 is my smallest number. So we'll go 1. Next I have 4. And then 8. And then 10. And then 18 is our last one. So we have our smallest is 1, our largest is 18.